We have restricted free agency news, as Cam Thomas is the first of the 4 main restricted free agents this offseason to go ahead and make a decision, as Cam Thomas will be returning to the Brooklyn Nets on a 1-year, $6 million qualifying offer. So, Cam Thomas has decided to just take the qualifying offer and hit unrestricted free agency after this upcoming season. Will the others follow suit? We will see. But for this video, I want to go ahead and just kind of recap the Josh Giddey free agency situation again here. Will Josh Giddey maybe just follow Cam Thomas's footsteps and take the qualifying offer? I want to talk about that whole possibility. I also then want to talk about what I think Josh Giddey will actually do here and kind of look at his options and what I think is probably what he will end up doing. But then I also want to talk about what, if I was his agent, what I would personally do. And then at the end, I want to talk about how I think the Bulls have handled the situation. And then for each like different outcome for the Giddey situation, I want to kind of look at how each outcome would affect the Bulls salary cap space moving forward. But before we get into it, I'll make sure you hit that like button if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I want to start off this video by saying that this is my opinion. I want to make it clear that this is just my opinion. This is not facts for what I think Giddey should be doing or what Giddey should do. But this is just my opinion. So you have every right to disagree with me. I just want to give you my insight on why I come to this opinion. But to recap what happened today, Cam Thomas has officially gone ahead and taken the qualifying offer. And I think, honestly, for what we've been seeing, Cam Thomas taking the qualifying offer makes the most sense out of these 4. It's just gonna be interesting to see if maybe Giddey or the others follow suit here. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if all 4 of them did take the qualifying offer at this point. But the only thing I'm just gonna say that's just so interesting to me is that, like, I'm like, okay, yeah, Cam Thomas take the qualifying offer, that makes sense, because like I've heard of this being offered to him, right? Like, this makes sense if you take the qualifying offer. But then Shams wrote this in his article. 1 year, $9.5 million with incentives to get up to $11 million, but he would have to waive the no trade clause. And I'm just like, I don't really understand why Cam Thomas didn't take this, but I guess the no trade clause is like actually huge for these guys, which is just really interesting to me because I don't know. I guess I'd value $20 million over the no trade clause, but I don't know. That's just my opinion because no matter what, you're going to become an unrestricted free agent at the end of the day next offseason. So I don't know. It's just odd to me. But Cam Thomas did take the qualifying offer, which means does Giddey maybe take the qualifying offer, and what does that mean for the Bulls? And just to recap, for if Josh Giddey does decide to take the qualifying offer, which was extended to him on June 26th, it is a 1-year contract. This does keep his bird rights, so if we're worried about that, this would keep his bird rights if he stays with the Chicago Bulls all season long, but it does have a no trade clause. The reason why it has a no trade clause is because let's just go with Cam Thomas here, if Cam Thomas with this qualifying offer is traded, okay, he would actually lose his bird rights. And losing bird rights is actually pretty important for players because it does help a player get paid because their team can go over the salary cap to pay them. But if they don't have bird rights on that player, then the team either has to use cap space or some sort of exception to pay them, right? And that limits that player's options for getting paid. So the CBA basically puts this in of like, hey, if you want to keep your bird rights, you have every right to keep your bird rights. So that's why they have a no trade clause. So if Josh Giddey did go ahead and sign the qualifying offer, it would be a 1-year contract with a no trade clause. That is correct. He then has every right to say no to any trade that he would be potentially put into. But if he is traded and he accepts that trade, then he would lose his bird rights in that scenario, okay? But we will see if Giddey does end up actually doing that. So here's just an overlook again on the Bulls salary cap situation from Spot Track. But the latest Giddey update was from today, actually. I want to go ahead and talk about this as Bobby Marks made a video today. This is the video, link in the comment section here. But Bobby Marks actually gave us some news that the Bulls have actually gone ahead and upped their offer for Giddey, as we've been hearing 4-year, $80 million contract being offered for Giddey pretty much all offseason. Now, apparently, it's 4 years, $88 million. So the Bulls have gone up to $22 million per year annual average salary, I guess. So the Bulls have gone up. So they've increased their offer. We really don't know, I guess, like the exact numbers for what Giddey's wanting, but like I honestly, if I had to make a guess, it's still $30 million, and they're just not going to budge. So because I really do not think that this, at least right now, like if they are actually $8 million apart, that's still a pretty big difference. I really don't see this really coming to any sort of conclusion anytime soon here, which means that if I had to make a guess on what I think the Giddey camp will be doing, is that I think that Giddey will be taking the qualifying offer here and following what Cam Thomas just did, because it really does seem like that they're like hell bent on $30 million a year. Maybe I'm wrong, but it really does seem like that they're like, we want $30 million a year, and it's like plain and simple. So If that is the case, I mean, like, if I'm the Bulls, there's no way I'm giving that to Giddey. I've been kind of adamant that, like, because the free agent market has been non-existent for Giddey, there is really no reason why to really be giving him more money than he deserves. And right now, no team's offering him any contracts, so you even offering this amount of money, I think, is honestly being pretty nice to Giddey, because we've seen for these other 4 free agents here what they're being offered. Giddey by far has the best contract being offered to him right now. Like, Kuminga has like a 2-year, $45 million deal being offered to him. We saw what Cam Thomas was being offered, and granted, Giddey is arguably a better player than these guys, but I just kind of look at them as all in the same boat. They're all restricted free agents. They all have things to prove, and Giddey's being offered by far the most amount of money and the longest terms of long-term security. So I'm like, look, man, I think the Bulls have been pretty nice about this. This is a pretty nice offer. If I was personally Giddey's agent, I'd say I'm going to try to get a player option on that 4th year, but if I can't, I will just say take the offer right now. At least that's what I would say if I was Giddey's agent. But this is what we're at right now. I don't really see this really coming to any sort of conclusion anytime soon when it comes to the contract negotiation. Therefore, I think right now my best bet is that Giddey takes a qualifying offer. I will explain what that really does for the Bulls and their salary cap later. But if he does take the qualifying offer, I'm personally fine with it. Giddey is going to have to really make sure he stays healthy all of next season and plays well to make sure that he gets paid to make up for his loss of earnings that he could be making this upcoming season. Because, again, he could be making $22 million this upcoming season right now. But if you take the qualifying offer, which is $11 million, then you are cutting that in half. So you're losing out on potential career earnings here, especially if you do get injured. So I think personally Giddey should take this, but right now he's not taking it. But go ahead and check out this video by Bobby Marks, get his insight as well. Now, when it comes to the qualifying offer for Josh Giddey, okay, this is a little bit of a recap for people because I'm sure a lot of you know this, but October 1st is the deadline here for Giddey to go ahead and really accept this qualifying offer. It is important to note that the team and player can agree to push back this deadline to, like, you could push it back to like October 15th maybe if you wanted to, but honestly, if I'm the Bulls, there's no reason why I'm agreeing to ever push it back here. So I do think that we'll be getting at least a decision made in the next few weeks here before October 1st hits, because if, let's say, Giddey does not accept the qualifying offer and it goes to October 2nd here, so this deadline passes, then, I mean, Giddey basically has no leverage at all. So I think that there will be a decision made here at some point, because then he cannot take the qualifying offer if it's October 2nd. That qualifying offer just completely goes away, but he's still a restricted free agent. So if he is going to be taking this qualifying offer or trying to use it as leverage to try to get the Bulls to pay him more money, well, a decision has to be made by before October 1st here. So I do expect that some sort of decision will be made in the next few weeks here, but we will see. But this is important just to know that October 1st is the deadline. I do not really see a reason why the Bulls would ever extend this deadline. They don't really need to. So I expect something to be done here before October 1st. If you're wondering, like, wow, like, is this just like, these 4 getting screwed over or whatever? Honestly, at least in my opinion, it's not. I think restricted free agency is tough, and it always has been. And newly acquired Bull Isaac Okoro also went through this last year, and he had to wait until September 17th to get his contract done with Cleveland. So, and he won a lot more money than this, by the way. So, to me, this isn't anything new. I think that this is just normal for when it comes to restricted free agents. It's tough. Even if teams have cap space, it's a tough life. So, this is just kind of the reality of the situation. And with the new CBA, I do think a lot more teams are penny pitching. So maybe, yeah, that is playing a part, but I do overall think that restricted free agency is tough for players to try to get when they're trying to get paid, and that's just the reality of it. And hey, look, a lot of players go through it. Almost every player has to go through it at the end of the day if you play like at least 10 years. So it is what it is. But I wanted to go ahead and talk to you guys about how do I think the Bulls have handled this. And I think if you can just kind of listen to what I'm saying, like, I think the Bulls have done a really good job so far. They didn't just like go ahead and cave in and just give Giddey his demands right off the bat, which is good. And they're basically just like kind of waiting around and see what the market would do. And no team decided to go ahead and create cap space or make a bunch of trades and create cap space to try to get Josh Giddey. It seems like also they're not really interested in doing a sign and trade, and that could be for many reasons, but I also think that's perfectly fine. But I wanted to bring this article up. This is written by Bobby Marks on August 1st, okay? So, this is a month-old article, but I do think it's actually important to look at because I want to go ahead and point out this paragraph right here because once again, this points out that restricted free agency is not a new thing in the CBA, okay? This was in the previous CBA. This is not new, all right? Yes, the new CBA has rules in it that are different, but this is not a new thing, okay? And, for many years, players had to go, navigate around these rules as a restricted free agent. But this, to me, is the more important thing here. Out of the 14 former first-round picks that have received a qualifying offer since 2023, and then went ahead and signed a contract, okay, only 3 had a starting salary more than $20 million in the first season, okay? And those 3 are Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickley, and Cam Johnson. And I looked at this, I was just like, I want to go ahead and look at these players, and so luckily Spot Trek is able to just kind of bring this up really quickly. So 2023 restricted free agents, okay, and here's what ended up happening, what they ended up signing, right? Cam Johnson, obviously, we just talked about him. So he did get, $20 million in his first year of his new contract, right? So $23 million annual average salary. But Rui Hachimura, first round pick, did not get it. Okay. PJ Washington, same thing, did not get it. Herb Jones in the second round. Grant Williams, he didn't get it. Kobe White didn't get it. Matisse Thybulle didn't get it. Miles Bridges does not count for this because he signed the qualifying offer, so he does not account for this for these stats here. But just to look at it, restricted free agency, even in 2023, not a lot of money being thrown at these guys, right? It just is what it is. And sure, maybe you want to argue that none of these guys are maybe all-star material or anything like that, but either way, I still see some decent players. Hell, PJ Washington just got paid in his new contract, so I still see decent players, right? 2024, okay? Tyrese Maxey obviously is the big one. He got the most money out of all these guys, and then Emmanuel Quickley got $32 million. But then Patrick Williams did not get $20 million in his first year. Neither did Obi Toppin. Isaac Okoro, again, we just talked about him. So again, Tyrese Maxey got $40 million a year. But the only reason why Tyrese Maxey was even in restricted free agency was because the 76ers needed him to become a restricted free agent to allow them to get a lot of cap space, right? This is how they were able to get Paul George and others, right? So him becoming a restricted free agent was more of a necessity for them to get the cap space than, we're going to, hold out on Tyrese Maxey or anything like that. And he got $40 million eventually. They were going to pay Tyrese Maxey the max as soon as they could. Okay. So I don't really think he really even accounts for this. Emmanuel Quickley is probably the best case scenario. And this is probably what the Giddey camp is looking at. But if you go around the league right now, I think this is just an overpay at this point. I think a lot of people would agree with this. So yeah, you have an overpay, but that does not mean the Bulls need to go ahead and make the same mistake when it comes to Emmanuel. I'm not going to give Giddey Emmanuel Quickley money. I'm just not. But Santi Aldama, first round pick, did not get to $20 million annual average salary. Davion Mitchell, same thing, did not get it. Isaiah Jackson, and he was injured, so maybe we don't even want to count him, but he did not get it. Cam Thomas signed the qualifying offer, so he would not even account for this amount for those stats. So basically, the reason why I'm showing you this is that if you really think that Giddey is being screwed over by the restricted free agency rules or he's being treated differently from people, I'm just here to say that's just not the case. This is restricted free agency, and in the previous CBA year, or in the previous years under this current CBA, we've seen that players just don't get that much money. And yes, I'm aware that the salary cap is lower here, but you're not even seeing you're not seeing these guys getting anywhere close to 30 million. You're not seeing 25 million, for these guys over here. Cam Johnson got $23 million, but that's it, right? That's just one guy. This year so far, nothing, right? And then 2024 happened, but Tyrese Maxey, I don't even think even accounts for this. But for the others that were restricted free agents that were not all-stars very clearly, Emmanuel Quickley got overpaid, but that's it. And so I don't really see any reason why the Bulls should do an Emmanuel Quickley situation and just go ahead and just pay Giddey a ton of money when they don't have to. The Raptors did not have to do that, and they just went ahead and did it. So it's just very clear to me, and this is just my opinion. I do not think that Giddey has been treated any differently. I do not think the Bulls are screwing over Giddey in any sort of way. History tells us that, restricted free agents you don't get paid as, anywhere close to $30 million consistently. It's just not a thing. So if you look at what these restricted free agents are getting offered right now, Giddey is being treated the nicest out of the 4. So I really just disagree with the people saying that the Bulls are screwing over Giddey here. As much as I don't like this front office and I don't like how Jerry Reinsdorf runs this organization, right now I do not see what they're doing wrong. And I'm very adamant about this because, look, man, like, same thing, Kobe White went through restricted free agency and he did not get paid a lot either. And he's a, top 7 pick in his draft. So this is not new when it comes to this organization. Yes, the Patrick Williams situation happened, but even at this point, we were looking at this as like, all right, this is pretty decent value when it did happen at the time. But things have changed now, right? A lot of teams are adjusting to this new CBA. The second tax apron is being annoying, but also just the fact that the salary cap projections are a lot lower than what we thought they were going to be. Teams are going to be penny pitching more, and they're just going to have to adjust, and that's the reality. So, at least in my opinion, this is just, again, my opinion. I do not think Giddey's being screwed over, but any sort of way. I think he's being treated pretty nicely compared to what these other 4 have been treated with. Like, it's just the reality, at least in my opinion. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and look at what the different outcomes are for Giddey and like what it does for the Bulls salary cap space. So obviously, if Giddey goes ahead and they come to some sort of agreement with the Bulls here, then his new contract slides right in here, and we will see what that money ends up being. So, whether it's 22, 23, 24, $25 million per year, we will see. But I really do think, if I had to make a guess, that he's most likely just going to take the qualifying offer at this point. Historically, taking the qualifying offer is a very bad decision when it comes to trying to getting paid. Giddey could, be the outlier in that, but I personally would not. If I was Giddey's client, or if I was Giddey's agent, I would personally advise him to not take the qualifying offer, because it puts a lot of all your chips into this upcoming year. But at the end of the day, again, you're just gonna be behind on career earnings, and like, it's hard to get those back. But who knows? But again, this is my opinion. But if Giddey went ahead and took the qualifying offer, this is what the Bulls salary cap situation would look like. For this upcoming season, this actually gives the Bulls a significant amount of space under the tax. So if they went ahead and maybe like made some pretty big trades here, they would actually have some room under the tax to go ahead and do that. So maybe that's something to look to if Giddey does take the qualifying offer. But the biggest thing, at least in my opinion, is that it actually, for the following offseason in 2026 and 27 here, this offseason here, if Giddey, if he took the qualifying offer, he would be an unrestricted free agent this offseason right here, okay? And his cap hold, this is my calculations, I could be wrong, but this is my calculation of his cap hold, would be this number. It'd be $21 million. If Giddey did do this, okay, I actually think the Bulls would actually have more cap space from this, at least potentially. Again, this is just potentially. It matters what they do with some of these other guys here. But I took away all the cap holds from guys that I could just see them letting go. I kept Kobe and Io's cap hold here, but this is what the number I got, and that's $38 million here. And if instead, like, let's say Giddey signed a contract to like $25 million a year, then obviously this number would cut into this, right? But this cap hold here for Giddey actually might give the Bulls a little bit more wiggle room to go ahead and use the cap space in whatever fashion. I would hope that they would use it in acquiring bad contracts for draft picks, right? But I doubt they use it. But I hope that they use it well. But then if you want to then go ahead and give Josh Giddey $30 million a year after that, fine by me, right? But I don't really see the reason why we need to do that now, at least. But when it comes to him being an unrestricted free agent, here's just the way I personally look at it, okay? If Giddey decides to go ahead and take this qualifying offer, all right, and he decides, I'm going to hit unrestricted free agency, I'm going to threaten to leave you in 2026 offseason because you did not pay me what I wanted in 2025 here, okay? I'm going to threaten to leave you, so you better pay me as much money as possible in 2026, okay? Here's the only thing with that. While it is right now projected, again, this is just projections, things can change, but it is projected that teams will have cap space in 2026 here. There is no way in hell, at least in my opinion, that Josh Giddey is going to take the qualifying offer and then take another pay cut and be like, oh, I'm going to threaten to go and play for this contender on the mid-level exception, so you better pay me, right? There is no way in hell that Josh Giddey is going to go ahead and take the qualifying offer and then go and take another pay cut and then leave the Bulls for like the mid-level exception, which is be about $15 million. There is no way that is going to happen. That'd be basically cutting your your earnings in half this upcoming season and then really taking another big pay cut for the year you're supposed to get paid, right? There is no way Giddey does that, which basically, at least in my opinion, that limits Giddey's options for the 2026 offseason as well. So once again, a reason why I think that he should not be taking the qualifying offer, because even though it sounds like a good idea of like, oh yeah, I can go into 2026 offseason with teams with cap space and, you know, maybe get, you know, threaten the Bulls and be like, oh, I'm going to leave for this team. Well, the reality is that if this whole thing is about you getting paid, then you cannot go to all these teams that don't have the $30 million that you're looking for, okay? And $30 million, especially with the lowered salary cap projection, that's a big chunk, all right? So I'm just kind of like, I still think his options aren't exactly the best, even if he hits unrestricted free agency. He'll have more leverage for sure, which is like, yeah, you know, if the Bulls have to up it to like, yeah, like $28 million a year, sure, by all means. I'm fine with that now, especially because then we can re-sign Josh Giddey with his bird rights, and we can use the cap space we have beforehand before we have to sign him. But again, I just don't really understand like this whole like, oh, I'm gonna threaten to leave in unrestricted free agency to like some contender or whatever, when the Bulls can offer him the most money. But again, you have to find a team that's gonna have the money that you're looking for in the first place, and then you know, that's an actual threat here. But again, he will have more leverage in unrestricted free agency. I just don't think it's as much as people think, because again, I don't really see Giddey taking like a mid-level exception in 2026 or something like that, unless like he has like a tragic year this upcoming season. So that is overall what the Giddey situation and its outcomes can do to the Bulls salary cap here. Again, important date moving forward. October 1st is an important date, so keep this in mind. We will see probably the conclusion of this whole thing before October 1st, but I will briefly talk about if, let's say, Giddey just decides to just not show up to training camp and do a holdout because he's upset the Bulls won't give him his money. Let me just briefly talk about it, because I know this has like suddenly been a topic in the last couple of weeks when it comes to this. I just, for the life of me, I cannot even fathom the idea of Giddey holding out, because again, if this is truly about money, which it seems like it is, then holding out and not playing games is like one of the worst things for Giddey to do, okay? Like, if you really want to get paid, like not playing games is like one of the worst things you could possibly do. You gotta play to get paid. It's just plain and simple. So this idea that some Bulls fans are like, oh, Giddey should hold out until like November or like Christmas or whatever so he can force the Bulls to pay him, I'm just like, why would the Bulls pay him? Like, there's just no reason to pay him still. I know that some people are trying to argue, like, oh, the Bulls need Giddey for this upcoming season to really win. And yeah, I mean, if the Bulls are really trying to win as many games as possible, yeah, I understand that. But at least in my opinion, I'm like, I really don't care. I don't care about this Bulls upcoming season in terms of wins. I'm not looking for the Bulls to go and really try to make the playoffs this upcoming season. So if Giddey's gonna be missing time, I'm like, all right, cool, better draft pick. Like, I want a better draft pick anyway, so just, all right, we'll just hold out on this. And if you're wondering, if Giddey holds out the entire year, he's still a restricted free agent with the Bulls at the end of the day. So we will not get to that point. That's just not a thing. But if Giddey is trying to get paid, holding out is the worst possible thing to do, just straight up. Unless I'm missing something here, but I cannot fathom the idea of Giddey holding out. I do think that there will be some sort of conclusion to this before October 1st here, before that qualifying offer deadline here. So look to see this get resolved soon, I guess. But I will be interested to see what's going to happen. I do think Giddey will take the qualifying offer, but we will see what will happen here. But I do hope Giddey is here for the long term, at least. I think that you need to try to see if you can lock him up for at least 3 or 4 years, whether it is now or maybe in the next offseason. We will see. But I'm hoping to see at least this get resolved in a timely manner and in a professional manner, and hopefully it's not an overpay. That's just pretty much it at the end of the day. But that is all for me. Good overall recap here for the Giddey situation, and I wanted to go ahead and give my opinion on this entire thing, extending all the way into the beginning of September, at least until now, and I can definitely see it extending for a few more weeks. So we'll be on the lookout for more info, but that will do it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.